morning, everyone. This is Elayne from Anabellas. Welcome back to Cross Stitch School lesson number 3. If you are a new viewer, welcome to my channel. I hope that you'll watch the previous 2 episodes of Cross Stitch School. Feel free to leave me a question below if there's anything that I can help you with. You can also send an email to info@anabellas.net and I can answer your questions privately. Please be sure, if you are a new viewer, to subscribe to this channel above and also ring the bell. That will notify you whenever I have a new video released or I have some good news to share. And we do have a number of Facebook groups, so if you would like to join one of our Facebook groups, all of the links are below. So I hope everyone had a wonderful week. If you're returning, welcome back. I'm glad that you came back. Today's lesson, we're going to talk about different fabric sizes and counts. And then we're going to stitch a little bit on our house, and I'm going to show you how I change colors in the middle of a piece. So what I want to do and what I want to start with is show you the most common types of Aida fabric. The reason that I'm going to stick with Aida, I'm going to show you one piece of Joblin fabric, is because it's very easy to stitch on Aida when you are a new cross stitcher. So I have Witchell is who we tend to get a lot of our fabric from. So I did pull 4 different counts to show you, and these are them right here. The first one, this is called pewter, and this is a 14 count fabric by Witchell. Now, when you order a fabric from Anabellas and you are ordering fabric by Witchell, it will come in a fat quarter. A fat quarter is pretty much approximately 18 by 25. So you're going to get quite a large piece. Aida fabric is a little stiffer than linen. You can hear it, it's kind of stiff, but it does soften quite a bit as you use it. And I want you to notice the size of the holes. These holes, there are 14 squares, so you'll make 14 X's per inch. So when it says 14 count, that means you're going to count 14 squares in an inch. And that is, how many squares are in an inch. And these holes are pretty easy to see, and they're pretty easy to stitch on. And that is the size count that you received in your cross stitch kit and that you are stitching on for this class. Now, the next count is 16 count. 16 count, I'm showing you here, this is called Touch of Pink. 16 count is just a bit smaller. So as you can see, the squares are a little bit smaller. And again, there'll be 16 X's or 16 squares per inch on 16 count. Okay. And then I'm going to show you 18 count. 18 count is pretty tiny. This is ivory. And as you can tell, if you look very carefully here, you can see the holes are much, much smaller. And this would mean that there is 18 X's or 18 cross stitches in an inch, in a square inch. And these are easy now for you to see the different sizes. So here you have 14 in the pewter, you have 16 in the Touch of Pink, and you have 18 in the ivory. So look at how different each of the squares are so that you can tell what size fabric. Now, I've always stitched on 14 count for many years, and then as I became more comfortable, I stitched on 16 and 18 count. Now my go-to is pretty much a 16 count fabric. I have tried linen now and again. I am going to show you the next size count after 18 that most folks graduate to, and that's a 28 count fabric. Now what I'm showing you today is called Joblin, and this is a much softer fabric. It is not stiff, it's very soft in your hand, and you can tell here that the holes are much tinier. Now when you stitch on 28 count, and I'm not going to teach you this in this particular lesson, you're going to learn this in Cross Stitch School Part 2. You'll learn to stitch on linen, but this is you would do 2 over 2. So you're going to use 2 strands of floss, and you're going, instead of making 1X and counting 1 thread, you're actually going to stitch over 2 of these little squares. And I'm not going to show you that. I don't want to confuse you. The purpose of this is just to show you what the difference is in the different types of fabric available and how they feel in your hand. So, you know, I really like Joblin. It's very easy to stitch on. I'm keeping this piece for myself because I don't think I can get it back in the bag. But this color, if you're interested, is called African Daisy. And it's a very pretty 28 count. So there you have it. You know, you might want to consider, you know, getting a small fat quarter of each count, 14, 16, and 18, as you become more comfortable with stitching. And then you can keep those in your stash. And when you start a new project, you know, give it a try, you know, but I would stick with 14 count, you know, for this project, obviously, and maybe for your next 1 or 2, just so that you can be absolutely sure that you really do, you know, feel comfortable moving up. All right, so how's everyone doing on their home cross stitch pattern? I know last week's homework was for you to come down and stitch the word home. I started it, and I want to show you what I've done. So I started the H, so you can see there that is complete, and your homework was to complete the entire word home, and then I asked that you come down and stitch this line right here all the way across. And we learned how to do that last week, how to stitch in a row. But today what I want to focus on, and what we're going to be working on today, is we're going to start working on the house. For today's purposes, we're going to be stitching this right here. So we're going to be stitching the pink, and then I'm going to show you how to change colors and stitch the window. Then what you're going to do between now and next week is you're going to finish the house, you know, all the pink area and the windows. Okay, so you're going to work on that. So I have my needle threaded already, and I am going to now, I've completed the first row, and you can see on my chart that I have marked off that I've done that first row of pink. Now I'm going to come up and I'm going to do my second row, and I'm coming up in the top right for this purpose, and I'm coming down in the bottom left, and I'm going to go all the way across, and I believe I'm making 11 stitches across. So I did count, and there is 11. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm letting my needle dangle and coming back up, top right to bottom left, 6, 7. Trying to stay in one place. Some of you commented that I was jumping around a lot, and I apologize for that. 8, 9, 9.5. 9. All right, that was funny. Okay, 10. And one more is going to be 11. If I can find the hole. Okay. All right. Now my thread fell out, so let me rethread that. So that was 11 all the way across the row. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to use my pencil, and I'm going to mark off, actually I don't have my pencil with me. So that's row 2, and I have to do 2 more rows, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 rows that I'm stitching. So I have to do 4 more, or 2 more rather, after I complete this. So I'm going to go all the way back, and then I'm going to do 2 more rows, and then I'll be back with you and we will do the window. So go ahead and complete those rows. I'll be right back. Okay, so I finished my 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've marked it off on my chart. And now what I want you to do is I want you to thread your needle with DMC 543. That's this beige color. That is the color that you see here that we're going to be working into our house to create a window. So the way that you do that is you have your final row right here, your 4 that you stitched. So you're going to count. You're not going to put 2 stitches here. You're going to do the window first, then you're going to come back and put the pink around it, okay? So you're going to skip 1, 2, and you're going to put your needle in the 3rd hole, and then you're going to go across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay? So skip 2, put your needle in the 3rd, and stitch 7. So here, I'll do it with you. I'm skipping 2, 1, 2, put my needle in the 3rd, and then I'm going to come up, top right, bottom left, and I am going through my hoop. Remember, I always anchor my work on my first stitch. So I'm completing my cross stitch and anchoring that first stitch, and then I'm coming across. And how many did I say we have to come across? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we want 7 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it won't go in. There we go. 4. 5, and a dangle here. 6, and last is 7. All right. And by looking at it, I can tell that I have 2 spaces, 2 stitches next to it, which are blank. Those are going to be filled in with pink letter. Okay, then I have to come back across 7. I have to complete my cross stitch. So remember to go directly into your holes. Move your needle so that you are not in between a thread. You want to be directly in the hole smoothly. Okay, always go directly down into your last hole. Sometimes what happens is little pinkies come popping through, and you can just take your needle and lift those up a little bit if they pop through. It happens. Real world cross stitch challenges, people. And I'd sometimes just take my finger and try to get that thread out of the way. Okay. I'm still coming all the way across. And 1 more. Okay. Now, take my pencil, cross off the 7 I just did, and I'm looking above and I see that I'm adding 1 stitch on each side, so that's 7, 8, so that should be 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it is. Okay, so now you're going to go 1 above. Go 1 above the X you just completed here. You see where my needle is. And over 1. And I'm going to go all the way across. My row. And I'm going to do 1 past this X for 11. So I'm going to pause it here. I'm going to stitch my 11 and I'll be right back. Okay, I actually counted 9, so there was 9 9 stitches above the row we just created. So you should have 1 extra on each side of the row we just completed. So now you have 2 rows, 1 here, and then 1 of 9 above it. Now, I'm going to cross it off on my chart. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come up, we're going to go in 1, and we're going to come up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you're going to go to your second cross stitch that you made in this row, and you're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and you're going to put in 6 stitches going up. So here I am, come over 1, right there, see? And I'm coming down. That's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5, and last one is 6. All right, then I'm going to come back down. I'm going to complete the row. So I'm just going back and completing my full cross stitch on each of the 6 I just did. I'm being careful to go into the hole cleanly. There's no point in going fast. Take your time. Doing it right the first time helps you having to do what we call frogging, where you're ripping out stitches. Okay, so there we go. We have that complete. Take my pencil, mark off what I just did. Now I have 2 options. I can travel over 1, 2 and do this row, or I can travel up. I choose to travel over 2. So I'm going to count over 1, 2, and then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more, and then complete these 2. All right, so let me show you that. So I'm skipping 2, 1, 2, put my needle right there, skipped 1, 2. Now I'm going to go all the way back up and do 6 more. 2, 3. My needle hang for a minute, unravel so it doesn't get knotted. 4, 5, and last is 6. And then I'm not going to complete my cross stitch. This is a matter of personal preference. I only have 2 to close this off. And then I'll go back and down. Before I do that, let me show you the 2 that I'm talking about. So I came across 2, I left 2, then I went up 6, and then I'm just doing these 2 right here. All right. So now that I've done that, I just want to go all the way back and cross all of those half stitches that I just made. Okay, so 1, 2, and then down 6, 1, goodness gracious, 2, 3, 4, 5, and last but not least is 6. Okay, now Remember, no matter how good you get in the habit of crossing off where you were. Okay, now what I need to do is I need to travel. I need to put in these 2 stitches, or I can just complete this and then go back across. So it's personal preference, whatever you choose to do. I'm just going to complete these 2 right here, and then you go ahead and complete all of the remaining frame of the window. So I'm going to do these 2 and show you how I do it when I travel, and then I'm going to have you complete this entire window. Once you have your window done, you're going to go back and you're going to pick up right here. You're going to put your pink around this. So you're going to go back and you're going to rethread your needle. You're going to complete all of this area in pink. You're going to count when you're ready to start this window. After you have your rows done here, ready to start this window, you're just going to go in 1 from your window, from your top of your window frame, and you're going to count up 3. So you should have 3 rows of pink before you start your next window, okay? So go ahead and watch me do these 2, then you complete this, jump up 3, do this window. You can do all, and then you can complete your house, you know, as far as the pink goes. And you can go ahead and put your frame around it too. It's up to you whether you want to do the roof or not. We can always work on that next week. We did the eave of the house. We can work on the eave next week. But I'd rather you go ahead and do this. We only have 2 more lessons left. I'm sorry, 3 more lessons left. But you should be pretty adept right now in creating your rows. So get as much done as you can. The windows are really pretty easy. You just have to be careful with your counting. Remember to count twice, stitch once. And if you make a mistake, it's okay to gently pull out your floss and redo it. And I want to point something out to you. These windows do not line up. They were designed that way deliberately. Okay, they're not right on top of each other. So make sure you're looking when you count, because you're not lining this window up on top of this window, okay? I want you to get used to counting different areas on your chart. So I want you to count up from you count in 1, go up 3, and that's where you begin. All right, so let me show you how I finish this off. The stupid thread is following me. Okay, so I know I have to have 4 squares. My window right here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that this is going to go 1, 2, 3 into the third square above the 3 that are currently blank. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so here, let me put my needle here so you can see. Okay, so I'm going to put my needle here. These are going to be blue. That's going to be blue. That's going to be blue. And then this is 1, 2. And when I'm done completing this cross stitch on these 2 stitches that I just made, you're clearly going to see that the remaining squares are going to be the blue DMC 518. All right, so you have 2 options now. I finished that. You can go ahead and do your blue in those 2, or you can complete the entire window and then do your blue, and that's what I do. I would complete all of this, the entire frame in the beige, then rethread your needle and do 4 squares, 4 cross stitches in each of these windows, and you're going to complete your window. Then go ahead and complete your pink, and then step up and do your other windows, and so it goes. All right, so that is what we have worked on today. And again, if you have any questions, send me an email to info@anabellas.net. If you don't mind keeping your comment public, it does help other folks. So feel free to comment in the comments below, or ask a question in the comments below, and then people can learn from each other. So next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to teach you how to, some tips and tricks, okay? So we're really going to work on some tips and tricks next week, because you have a lot of work left here to try to finish off before I can teach you how to make a border. All right, so you have all of this week. Well, we're ending lesson 3. You have 7 days to try to get this completed to the very best of your ability. You've got this, okay? It's really just a matter of counting and changing floss, but that doesn't mean that you can't email me. You know, I don't want you to not to be shy about reaching out to me, but it is pretty easy now as far as you've learned how to count squares and you know how to count over and to start something. So if you were to start the tree, for example, after you finish your house, you're just going to come down here. You're going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and you're going to place your first stitch in the 9th box. And then you're just going to count and start making your tree. All right. So again, let me know if you have any questions. Counting can be hard. Our friend Misty over at Luminous Fiber Arts designed a cross stitch pattern called Counting is Hard. And if you have not checked it out, maybe you can make that your next project after you finish this. It would be very nice. I'll go ahead and put a link below to the chart so that you can see it. But counting is hard. So just, you know, remember to count twice and stitch once. So I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I do look forward to seeing you next Sunday. If you are new, please tune in on Tuesday where I do Tuesday Tidbits. Those are just quick 5 to 10 minute video segments where I give you some tips and tools and cross stitch hacks I've picked up along my many years of cross stitching. And then every Friday I do my regular floss tube on Friday. So I hope to see you there. Until then, have a wonderful week, everyone. Be happy, be well, and most of all, be kind. See you soon.